People, deluded, I'm back again. Thank you for tuning back in. Now, I've tried to delay this one and let this story develop a bit, but by now it does look like Nacho Monreal is going to leave Arsenal and go to Real Sociedad, or that's the team that's in question. Like you lot, well, some of you might be, but I'm no in the know, I'm no agent, don't work for Arsenal, so again, I don't know if it is going to happen, and I don't know anything past the fact of it simply being what our fans are being fed. If you look online, there's all sorts of reports of him over the last, I'd probably say, let's say weekend, bank holiday weekend, if you're in England. These stories have been happening and whatnot. I wouldn't say it's a shock because he's 33, 34 years of age. His contract was running out this season. Allegedly, he has a deal to run out, an standing extension until 2020. He's 33, 34, like I said. And with that, can he, like Koscielny, I'm not saying he's going to behave like Koscielny, but they're in the same sort of situation in that, can they go and get a longer contract elsewhere? Not to talk about finances, but can they get better finances? Do they want to go on one last adventure? Does he want to move, in Monreal's case, well, Koscielny too, but Monreal back to his homeland and one last hoorah and whatnot? Who knows? For what it's worth, I don't think Monreal's going to have an issue off the field, or what he does off the field, man. One thing I've liked about Monreal is that when you read up about him, he's doing different courses to develop himself as an individual. And I know all footballers own a lot of businesses and things, but Nacho Monreal seems like someone very switched on when it comes to doing smart things with your money and building a sort of legacy. So he probably has made his mind up a long time ago. Now, Monreal to Koscielny is a different thing purely because how they've handled themselves. In the same way we heard, well, Koscielny said that the club knew from the get-go what he wanted to do. Maybe they knew about that with Monreal. It's just Monreal's controlled himself in a civilized way, behaved as a top professional, not kicked up a fuss. Fully went on the tours and things like that, but he wants to leave. If he's always been earmarked in leaving this club in this summer, just based on, in hindsight, people, and what I'm seeing now, it's the writing's always been on the cards. Could he have potentially left earlier if we got Kieran Tierney's deal over the line, and maybe if Tierney wasn't having these injury problems that he's having at the moment, would Monreal have been gone? Who knows? On that topic, I'd like to imagine that Kieran Tierney, again, I'm no physio and I just want people to be fit and ready to play and decrease the risk of the recurring injuries. But you'd be inclined to believe surely Kieran Tierney's ahead of fitness, people. I'm not saying he's going to play against Spurs. Come on now. Who is going to be a left back against Spurs? But surely Kieran Tierney's got to be ahead of the fitness schedule or something to sanction Monreal's deal. Beyond the fact of, take it like this, people. Put what I've just said about Monreal in hindsight in a box and let's just look at it from a sporting perspective right now, people. Surely Tierney's got to be ahead of fitness. So at least we'll ride with Kolasinac, assuming Monreal goes, we'll ride with Kolasinac against Spurs, against Watford away, and I think it's United over that. When Tierney comes back, he comes back, which what fans are told is October. You like to believe he's coming back in September because of this, but let's just deal with what we've been told, the facts, October. So that's just over a month, we'll call it, with Kolasinac as our first choice left back. God forbid, touch wood, if something happens to Kolasinac in terms of not being able to play football, what happens then? Because Maitland-Niles was used at left back at one point at time at this club so long ago. He's having to fill in on the right hand side. Ironically, you look at the young players that have left. I'm not saying Thompson is the answer, but young Thompson's gone to Brentford. Cohen Bramall was released. Looking below that, you've got Swanson, you've got Bowler, you've got players that can be Medley, can be shoehorned at left back. None of them really scream the options to me. The one guy that I see is potentially having potential to develop into that spot one day, and I think he's got a long way to go, is Joe Lopez. I don't think Joe Lopez is anywhere near ready for first team football. If he's thrown in and he holds his own, then cool, but I don't think he's anywhere near ready, people. I think right now, as a second-year scholar, he needs to nail down that shirt for the under-18s, because that wasn't always the case, and stay fit. But I think he's a decent player, but there's not really a youth prospect you can look at and scream, you can do it. Of course, if we go three at the back and we play a winger instead of a wing back, you can get away with certain things, but you'd have to be inclined to believe, surely, people, surely Kieran Tierney is coming back, people, quicker than scheduled. And maybe in hindsight, like I said, man, with his contract, be naive to assume that Monreal just woke up on Thursday evening or Friday morning, depending on when you saw the reports, and said, yeah, I'm going back to Sociedad, people. This is probably, like I said, in an ideal world, similar to with Ramsey, Oxlade and Alexis, the current theme of what I've said with their contract issues is come the end of the season, come June, before pre-season starts, you need to know what these players want to do. We needed, which I think the club already know. You need to know what Koscielny wants to do moving forward with his career. You need to have these conversations going into while the season's going on. You need to know what Monreal wants to do. So they've been knowing, the club know, and Monreal's known. What I like about Monreal is I don't think he'll kick up a fuss. Many men thought that about Koscielny, myself included. So people change their leopards. I guess leopards can change their spots in some incidences, depending on how badly they want to do something. No clue on if there'll be a transfer fee or anything, but just looking on the reports, people, apparently this is an imminent agreement, people. Apparently there might not even be a transfer fee. If I look at one of the articles by Mr. Arsenic TM, you don't know me, come on, the guy was tracking planes and everything there. One has said that Sociedad and Arsenal could agree a deal where the Spanish club pay no fee for Monreal, but Arsenal in exchange would have a preferential option over a number of players of their choice. Does that mean, again, people, the key word, the words in the name, a first option and a preferential option are two different things. If you have a first option or that clause where you can match a bid, that's a different thing, people. I know you all play Football Manager. If you've got them clauses where you say, okay, cool, we've got we want a clause in this player. Cool. If whatever club you agree a fee with, if we match that, we can start talking to the players. Let's just say this young Spanish prodigy at Sociedad, Manchester City, the first team I had, they come in for him. They bid, let's say, 20 million for him. We should have a clause where it says, okay, cool, if we match that bid, we can talk to that player. Not some, again, I might be getting hung up on words, but I don't like the whole preferential treatment thing or preferential option, bae. I don't really like, that's not really sounding too good. I would prefer a fee for Monreal purely because of his age. These sort of players there, they're not going to command a mad fee, but every little helps, like you've seen with some of the transfers and whatnot. I wouldn't actually say no to a no getting no money for his transfer, because the more I think about it, the more sane it admittedly sounds, people. More important news is apparently Sociedad are pushing to finalise the deal for Monreal today, which is literally today, Tuesday. So we can get on a plane from London to Bilbao at 7:55 local time and arrive in San Sebastian ahead of training sessions on Wednesday and Thursday in preparation for the derby on Friday. So is that Sociedad versus Bilbao, people? Well, yeah, that would be their derby, innit? The Basque derby. So it'll be a good move for Monreal. I mean, Monreal is, yeah, man, if that's because I swear he came, well, I don't know where he's from in Spain. I know he's played for Malaga. I know he's played for Bilbao. But a return home to his favoured region, if that is, might be something that he can go and do, people. And again, it all depends on the length of contract. Again, if he wants to move back to Spain, that's a big factor. But surely, if you've got a year to run, you'd like to think that what would be the point, really? Literally, you can talk to teams in January. You could potentially agree a greater fee in January. When I say fee, I'm not talking for the club, people. I'm talking for next summer. Him and his advisors could potentially agree a better contract in January, because they're not having, people won't have to be dealing with Arsenal and whatnot. That's if money is coming. Monreal's been a good serviceman for the club, and he's got nothing but my support if this is what he wants to do from the player's perspective. From a fan's perspective, I am worried it does leave us short-changed, and I want to say the club have a plan, and I believe they do, but the window is closed. If something happens to Kolasinac, we're really pressed for options at that left-hand side until Tierney comes back. Obviously, when everyone's fit, it's sorted, but right now it's not. So which leads you to believe what is going to happen in that regards, people. I think even Emre, I copied and pasted what Emre had to say. This is one issue we need to speak in the next few days, because in Europe they don't finish the transfer window yet, but we are going to speak about all situations and possibilities. It's the reason that I was speaking about it's not normal that we finished 2 weeks ago in Europe, because the squad is not completely closed for the moment. So what he means is there's still a lot of ins and outs, people. Admittedly, we probably would have thought it would have been Mustafi and El Nene, which I actually haven't released a vid. I did a transfer vid on them too. It was nice to, just a quick word on them, it's nice to see that because of Emre and the club publicly saying what we read. People, deluded. Apologies for that, people. The battery on the camera died. That's one thing I'm having to learn with cameras, is always charge the batteries. But as I was saying, rounding up this vid, to go off topic, Monreal for a second, it's lovely to see the club talking publicly about Mustafi and Socrates' futures, because it does. It forces the hands of their advisors. El Nene's dad's come out and tried to, for me, gloss it that it's not Arsenal wanting to leave. It's El Nene that wants to go. And he actually, one thing that kind of implied to me that El Nene's in real, beyond the obvious, no rush to move permanently. As he said, he hopes his son gets a Premier League club. Obviously, he cannot get a Premier League move of any sorts until January, people. So that inclines he's here to stay at this moment in time. We've heard Bordeaux want him on loan. Whether that happens is another case. And to be fair, there's no point El Nene going on loan. We need to, them sort of man there, you need to get them out permanently. If he's going to go somewhere else on loan and they might not even sign him permanently, he might as well just sit at the club and be your backup in the very need that we need him. Save legs around Europa League, only need him at a push. There's no point him going out on loan, in my opinion. That's an outright sort of signing for someone. If not, keep him for the squad until January, because he could be used for depth purposes, despite the fact I don't think much of him as a player. Mustafi just needs to get out the door, and you've heard Mustafi's agent, which I believe again is his dad, the player's dad, has said they need to review the situations, which they do. So my initial point was I would have thought it had just been them two, potentially Emil Smith Rowe to go out on loan, not Monreal. But if this is where it is, this is where it is, people. Again, I don't know what we're going to do at left back. I like to think the club have a plan. Are they scouting and our left back to be understudy to Tierney and be that long-term sort of guy? Tierney's only 22, so I'm not sure. Or is it a young sort of player to compete with him? Or are we just relying on Kolasinac to hold down that role until Tierney's back up to full fitness and able to contest with him for a first team spot? So in that regards, people, there's not much more to add. Monreal's been a loyal servant, like I said. Before I go, I think I owe you lot the duty just to see if I can do one last check of any sort of football things relating to Arsenal. So no, that's not his. It's got Z. It's got an AFC staff. No, that's a good stat. It's irrelevant, but apparently there was an 84% increase in demand for Arsenal's new home shirt by Adidas compared to last year's Puma thing. Apparently the best seller is the away kit. So yeah, we kind of already knew that, but it's lovely to see from a commercial point of view. The Adidas thing has been a success. It's a good lifestyle sort of choice, sort of apparel. It feels better than the Puma thing, people. Obviously, guys like myself, I wore my thing to Carnival. I have washed my shirt. I'm not dirty. So yeah, it's good. Obviously the shirt is good. It's been a success, and apparently the new home shirt's already been made already, and it's darker for next season. So we're gonna rake in some sort of cash from that perspective, people. Quick little words on David Luiz. He said, "I'm going to try to do my best every single day and try to help everyone to believe in this, because I think this club can believe a lot, because it has a lot of potential. Football is about the end, not the beginning, and we are going to have to try and fight to the end. This club has the potential to shine like it has shone in the past. We have a lot of talent. We have a lot of players with a lot of quality. I came here with the ambition to fight for the Premier League title. I want to fight for other competitions as well. It's always difficult to play there at Anfield. Not many teams go there and get points. I think you have to be clever and to take positive things and think about the future. There is frustration always, but I think you always have to be intelligent and mature to understand we did a lot of good things and we could have scored 2 or 3 before they did." Now, I've mixed and matched his quotes. First and foremost, I like to hear a man come out and talk and face the music. David Luiz, for the mistakes he might make, similar to Jack, I like to see people coming out there and calling it for what it is. He has believed that we can win trophies, and you shouldn't be at any club if you don't believe that. Personally, I believe we can win trophies long term if we keep taking steps. Long way away from the Premier League. There are certain positives we can take away from Liverpool. There are negatives. I'm personally in what I'd call a watershed moment. It's almost nothing can prepare you for defeat, but it's, to be fair, it was a better performance in some degrees than how we've gone there previously. There's reason to be frustrated, of course, people, like I've previously said. But it's lovely to hear that from Luiz. But Luiz, on the point of being clever, you do have to be clever. And I know these things happen in a split second, but the second 2 goals they scored after the first, I'm not trying to put the blame on anyone, but you was moving a bit mad in that. Apparently, Pepe completed more dribbles against Liverpool than any other players managed in a Premier League game this season. So that's obviously good. Xhaka has come out and spoken in regards to Arsenal this week. He said, "It's a derby. We know how important it is for the fans, the club, and for us. We have shown in the last few years that we can have very good games against them. Let's start getting ready this week, and so we're ready to play Spurs." And he's right on that. You can't wait if you lot take no points from these last 2 games, or you get a point. We need to go for the win. Banter aside, of course I would take a point, people, but we need to beat Spurs. We need to beat Spurs. I'm hoping that. One thing I'm hoping, and I hope it happens, is Pepe was quite encouraging at Anfield. Maybe with the fans behind him playing at home, another big game, he relishes that. He gets off the mark, and then that's the one to kind of, when once people, it really sets people through. Personally, Pepe's not going to get 6 months by fans, but I think, especially foreign players, people ready to call them a flop and cast them with a brush way too soon. You look at Sane. I know Sane is not he's a regular in the City team, but if you're naming your strongest lineup, it's probably Sterling on the left right now, Raheem Sterling, and Bernardo Silva on the right. Sane's got potential, in my opinion, similar to Bernardo, to be the best outright player in the Premier League, and I believe he's got the potential to sit amongst the. Obviously not Messi and Ronaldo, but you look at him, you look at Mbappe, you look at Dembele, you look at João Felix. These are the sort of guys you think will be in and amongst it in a couple of years. I think he's got potential to do that. People called Sane a flop after 6 months, and then if you remember, whatever season he first came, they played us at we went to the Etihad, plain sailing from there. There's been many cases, and obviously I'm not saying I'm going to sit here and wait 6 months for Pepe to deliver, or there'll be question marks, but I'm kind of subconsciously giving him 6 months before I see the best. That doesn't mean I don't want to see good performances. That doesn't mean I believe he's incapable of that. That doesn't mean there shouldn't be question marks. What I'm saying is, when that settling period happens, he's going. Of course, he could be settled already. Some man settle from the jump, people. We don't know unless the player comes out and says himself. But that's what I would like to see in it. So it's lovely to hear all of that, people. There's not much more to really add, man, really and truly, man. Let's just stick to what we came here for, and I've spoken on Nacho Monreal. Yeah, man, we'll see what happens, people. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. People, DG, thank you for always watching and rocking. I don't know what that was.